Hello everyone, welcome. Today's topic is quantifiers. Okay, I'm sure you're very familiar with them. We use them every day. For example, I want you to look at this image and the dialogue. Do you relate to this situation? Do you feel familiar with this? Imagine you are having a date night at a restaurant with someone, and that person asks you, how much do you eat? Do you eat a lot? And you answer, not too much, just a little. Well, we can see how little is little, right? Okay. Well, to talk about quantifiers, we need to talk about countable and uncountable nouns first. So let me tell you that there are some things, some nouns that we can count, just like apples, and we also have other nouns that we cannot count, just like milk. Okay? So let's review countable and uncountable nouns. There are some nouns that may seem countable, but they aren't. For example, money. What do you think? Well, actually, money is uncountable. We count the currency, like pesos, dollars, euros. We count the bills, the coins, but we don't count the word money. I mean, the word money is not countable, so it is uncountable. Then bottle, what do you think? Okay, of course, that's countable. Ox, do you know ox? Ox is a type of bull, like a buffalo or something. Okay, well, ox is countable because it's an animal. Then information, what do you think? Even though we can have a lot of information, information is uncountable because we cannot add the S to the word information. So we can't say, oh, I have informations, okay? Only in singular. This means that, well, this is uncountable. What about education? What do you think? Okay, it is uncountable. Advice. We should never say advices. That's wrong. Okay, so because advice is uncountable, so we cannot make it plural. What about video game? Can you say one video game, two video games? Actually, you can, so this is countable. Then, just like money, time is a word that cannot be counted. So, we can count the minutes, we can count the hours, the seconds, the days, but we can't count the word time. So this is uncountable. Okay, then vocabulary, what do you think? Even though we can have a list of vocabulary, a long list of vocabulary, the word vocabulary is uncountable because we never say my vocabularies. Okay, then what about geese? Do you think geese is uncountable or countable? Well, actually, geese is the plural of goose. So this means this is a countable word. I know the plural of goose is irregular because we never say gooses, but we can count the animals, right? Okay, what about car? Of course, car is countable. News. News is just like advice. News is an uncountable noun. So for advice and news, we should say, I have a piece of advice or I have a piece of news. Okay? It depends on how many you have, but news is an uncountable word. So we say some news or a piece of news, one or two pieces of news. Okay? Then boy, can we say boys? Of course, then this is countable. Popcorn, what do you think? Can we say popcorns? Not really. So popcorn is uncountable. Electricity, can we say electricities? Nope. So this is also uncountable. Carrot, can we say carrots? Yes, so this is countable. Milk, can we say milks? Not really. So this is uncountable. Okay, guys. Then here, this is how I'm going to explain the quantifiers. First, we need to know if we use them with countable or uncountable nouns. Then, Then sometimes we use them with affirmative sentences, negative, or questions. So a lot of and lots of is used with countable nouns, but in plural form. PL stands for plural. Okay, we also use it with uncountable nouns and in affirmative sentences. We use few or a few with plural countable nouns. We never use them with uncountable, and we use them with affirmative sentences. Then a little is used with countable. It's like the opposite of few. So a little is used with uncountable and in affirmative sentences. Then some and any are kind of like opposites. Both are used with countable plural and uncountable, and the some is used with affirmative, and sometimes with questions. I put an asterisk here because this means that we use some with questions when we offer something or when we request. Like you offer something as when you say, would you like some milk? Would you like some coffee? And as when you request, can I have some water, please? Can I have some popcorn or something? So we use many with plural countable. We never use them with uncountable. Here in the past, we never use them in affirmative sentences, but now some people use them with affirmative sentences. And we use them with negative and question forms. The opposite of many is much, and we use much with uncountable nouns as the same as with many. In the past, we didn't use them with affirmative sentences, but now sometimes people use them with affirmative sentences, and we use them with negative sentences and questions. Then, as I told you, any and some are kind of like opposites. So any is used with both countable and uncountable nouns in negative sentences and questions. Okay. Then we can also use how many or how much. As you know, we use many with countable and much with uncountable, and both of them are used in questions. Then we use a couple of several, both a large number of and too many with countable in plural form. We use most of them with affirmative sentences. Sometimes you can use them with negative when you are just negating that specific information. For example, you can say, teacher, do you have a couple of minutes? And I can tell you, well, I don't have a couple of minutes to talk. I have 1 hour if you want. So only in that case, I would say, I don't have this. Just to negate this vocabulary, but not always. And in questions, do you have a couple of minutes? Then, well, this can be used with questions too. Okay. Then we use a good or great deal of, too much, or a large or small amount or quantity. of with uncountable. We normally use them with affirmative, but if you want to negate this specific vocabulary, then you can use them in negative, but it's not very common. And we also use them with questions, okay? Then we use hardly any, plenty of, and no with both countable and uncountable nouns. The same thing, we mostly use them with affirmative sentences and questions. Sometimes, well, no, you will never use it with negative sentences, but plenty of and hardly any, this can be used with negative. Then we use a or an with singular countable nouns. All the previous quantifiers are used with plural countable nouns, but a or n, both are only used with singular countable nouns, okay? Then they are used in affirmative sentences and question forms, okay? Then do you have any questions? Well, if you do, we can solve them the day of the review. So here I'm showing you this chart to give you an idea of the quantifiers. These are the quantifiers that you will see in the exam. So too many or too much, it's excessive. It's a lot. Well, more than a lot. So many for countable and much for uncountable. Then we use a lot of or lots of with both. These can be used with countable or uncountable nouns, and it's just a good quantity, right? Then some or a few are almost synonyms, or we can say they are synonyms. But a few is for countable and a little is for uncountable. Also some and a little. Then as you can see, we have a little and a few and few. Just by adding the article, a few, it gives the idea of more quantity. So few or very few is the same as not many. The same thing happens with little. A little, it gives me the idea of more quantity than just little or very little. Then little and not too much, or not much, sorry, they are synonyms. Then not any and no are synonyms, and they are both used with countable and uncountable nouns. So I can say there aren't any questions, or there are no questions, or there isn't any water, or there is no water, okay? Okay, guys, I hope this information is clear. I will ask you a few questions about this on Thursday, okay? Have a good day.